It's Uvalde Radio. Robert Miguel here with you. Good morning. Just having a great time with lots of guests this morning. So much going on in our little town, and we're really excited about this because, over at the Progreso Memorial Library, they've always got some great programs and classes and whatnot. And every Saturday, they've got Saturday School, which we've got a really cool thing going on. Not only Saturday at the El Progreso Library, but tied in a movie screening Saturday night at Hangar 60R Cafe, which we're going to get into all the details. But right now, let me welcome to the show Sarah Brennan Kolb, a Texas-born film producer and director. Is that right, ma'am?
Yes, sir, it is.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. How's it going?
I am great. Thank you so much for checking in. I know we kind of put this together last minute, so I'd like to thank Mr. Morgan at the library and, of course, everybody at Skyway Entertainment, where the movie screening is going to be happening. But, Sarah, we're excited. You are a Texas-born film director, and now I went and snooped around on your IMDb. You don't look like a particularly, you look like a young lady, so I'm going to be a gentleman. I'm not going to ask how old you are, but I'm assuming, you're pretty new into this filmmaking game, right?
Yes, sir. Well, I was fortunate. The great thing about the Texas film community is that they start you out pretty young.
Okay.
So I've been able, I was able to start at a pretty early age, but this is my very first feature film as a director. So I'm really excited to be able to share it here in Uvalde.
Well, the film is called Good Old Girl, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now how long has this project been done? Give me a timeline, I guess, as to when you started it, when it finished, and I guess I'm imagining you're doing more like the promotion and press rounds right now, right?
Yes, yep, exactly. So I actually started the project in about 2016 is when I first had the idea. I was helping on a family friend's ranch outside of Kennedy when I just started meeting all these really fascinating, inspiring ranch women. And so that was 2016, and then fast forward, 4 years of figuring out and filming it and editing it, we premiered at South by Southwest Film Festival in 2020. And obviously, we've all been through some stuff through 2020 and 2021, so this is now finally our chance to go on the road and show the movie to the communities we care about the most.
So again, the film is called Good Old Girl. You say you were working with the cattle women. Is that correct? And interestingly enough, I'm from the Dallas area, born and raised down here in Southwest Texas, but it's amazing how you can be a Texan and really not know much about ranching and cattle, the industry, if you're in a more urban area. From what I understand, you're based out of Austin, were you not? Or is that where you come from?
Yes, sir. I went to film school in Austin, and I split my time between Austin and Reagan Wells now, just outside of Uvalde. My family lives in Reagan Wells these days. But, it's so funny you say that, because I think that's definitely true, but I moved to New York City as soon as I graduated college, and I've been working all around the country. And the thing that I love the most about Texas is that no matter where you're from, even if you're from the big city and you don't know much, I think we're all born with that love and passion for the land.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And a respect for the people who tend it and take care of it. So that's what I love about this state, and that's kind of what inspired me to make this movie.
So now, Texan girl, obviously studying film in New York, and that's a big deal. I'm sure that as worldly as New York can be, I'm sure they've got their preconceived notions as to what Texas is all about. What were those obstacles, I guess, if any, being that Texan in New York, studying film? Yeah,
well, I got a lot of, oh, that's so cute. I didn't even know people made movies in Texas. There's a lot of that. I think that was another reason why I wanted to make this movie is that, people in New York and Los Angeles are usually the people who get to make the movies and tell the stories, and they don't get it right, and especially when it comes to Texas and ranching. So I really wanted to take the opportunity to tell a story from my own perspective as a Texan, kind of from the inside. While I was living in New York, I wanted to be the insider, to tell them what it was really like.
Well, we really appreciate that because, I'm not even a filmmaker, but I cannot even I couldn't even count the number of times I've rolled my eyes at a cowboy hat or or a Ford truck. The typical Texan stuff. And while some of it is endearing and sure we're proud of that kind of stuff, to a certain extent, they depict us in a kind of a cartoonish kind of way. So it's neat to see someone.
Totally. Did you ride a horse to school when you were growing up? People laugh when you say y'all, all that kind of stuff. I definitely got a lot of that, and so it was important to me to show the real Texas in this movie.
Now this movie, Good Old Girl, is about basically like strong cattle women. So go ahead and give us I guess a more detailed inspiration about what exactly was it that made you go, hey, you know what, this is a story worthy of filmmaking, and I'm going to do it.
Totally. Well, so Good Old Girl is about 3 young cowgirls in different parts of Texas, each kind of struggling and fighting to carry on their family's ranching legacy. And so one of the real kind of moments for me, the study actually came out in 2017 that said every hour, 2,000 acres of rural Texas gets redeveloped and turned into suburban or commercial growth. So if you think about it, every hour of the day, someone's family ancestral homestead is disappearing. And that's really scary because I think that's what makes Texas, Texas, all of that land and the people who really care about the land. Mm-hmm. And so all of a sudden I kind of realized, the legacy of our state that makes us so special is disappearing. And I think the people who are going to save it and who are here to protect that legacy are sometimes the people who we overlook and don't give the credit to or the spotlight to. So I wanted to shine a spotlight on those women, the women who are protecting our agricultural legacy and the land in Texas and what it's going to look like when they take it over.
I imagine there's a shift, and I like that you use the word legacy, is that, some, as ranchers, as farmers, as all these people that have the land and work the land, as that generation gets older and older, and with more modern technology and the younger people's interest in other things, I imagine that there's this gap where certain people just aren't stepping in to those roles. Does that have a big part of where the storyline goes?
Yes, exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself. The average age of a rancher landowner in Texas is well over 65, mm-hmm. and there are a lot of jobs in the big cities that my generation feels like they need to go and get, and so it's this big question. It's a huge void. Who is going to step into these shoes to take it over and preserve what we're all about? And I think the answer is women in a lot of ways. Women have always been in the ranching industry. We just haven't always listened to their stories. So I wanted to make Good Old Girl as a chance to show that, young women are here in Texas. We're here and we're ready. And there are a lot of talented people, both men and women, all over the state that are ready to take the legacy over.
Now, would you say that, being that this is a story from a woman about women, would you say that this is something that would appeal, and I don't want to pigeonhole you in any way, because I'm a father of 2 beautiful, young women, but are you coming at this through a lens of more like feminism, or is it just a story? Is there an intended audience here? Yeah,
I definitely think the audience is for everyone, because like you said, the main characters are all women, mm-hmm. Which I don't think is particularly revolutionary, but I know some people do. But I think this is a story for everyone, especially in Texas, because like I said, this is all our legacy. It doesn't matter if you live in a high rise in Houston or you're a 5th generation rancher near Uvalde. Like if this land and these natural resources that we've been blessed with, if there isn't anyone taking over them and protecting them, what's going to happen to us? We don't want Texas to be the next California. We don't want to see that happen to our state. So I think the movie is for anyone who's invested in the future of our state.
Now, it's interesting you said that kind of that's a popular phrase, don't California our Texas, and it typically it typically tends to be uttered by more gun-toting conservative types, and whatnot.
Oh, and everyone in Austin too. That's like the one universal thing that can bind us all together in Texas.
Do you get any I guess flack and any pushback from the West Coasters and the East Coasters for that kind of mentality and those types of phrases?
I think they know to expect it from me personally. They know who they're dealing with usually, but I think there has been some pushback, from the New York and LA folks on this movie because, like we talked about earlier, they do have this preconceived notion of what they want Texas to be. Okay. And although the main characters in this movie are all women, there are a lot of really wonderful cowboys and rangers in here too. And I think this movie is challenging and kind of reframing what people on the coast think of Texas, and how we treat each other, and what men think of women. I think all the men in this movie really, really respect the women in their lives and support them, which is what I think is so inspiring. It's a movie about men and women supporting each other.
Now, again, the movie's called Good Old Girl. We're going to do a screening of it tomorrow, Saturday night, at the Hangar 6 Air Cafe. You're going to be doing a Saturday school talk at the Progreso Memorial Library. That'll be Saturday morning at 10, I believe. But we'll get into all those details again. But I want to, again, reminding everybody listening at home, we are talking to Texan-born director and film producer Sarah Brennan Kolb. Now, let's go and talk about this because this is something that I think a lot of people don't. We kind of skirt over it. What exactly is a director and or producer? And at what point do you go from being a film student / pursuing a career, and then one day when do you wake up and all of a sudden, boom, you're a director and or producer?
Yeah, well, that's a great question, and I will give a very step-by-step how-to at the Saturday school for sure. But what I will say quickly is that it's been a lot of hard work, and it's so easy to kind of look at an IMDb or look at the film festivals that we've all been in as filmmakers and only see the successes. But yeah, it's been a long 10 years of figuring things out and trying and failing and brushing myself off and trying again. But a director is really the person who has the idea and carries it through. I think that's the best way way to put it. You have the idea and you don't give up, no matter how many people tell you should.
All right. And then producer-wise, is that more of a money title, more of a
Yeah, that's a great question. So the producer can mean a lot of things. The producers are exactly like you said. The director comes up with the creative ideas and the story and what they want to tell, and the producer figures out all the logistics of how you make that happen and how you make that vision come true. So on a lot of times you have to play double duty, which is stressful and hard, but I've also been able just to learn so much so quickly, kind of pulling double duty on this movie.
Now, is directing and producing, that's what you do, or do you find yourself occasionally starring in these productions? Is any of your acting something that is going to be a part of this whole equation?
No, definitely not. You'll never see me in front of the camera. But yeah, directing and producing is my bread and butter. And the cool thing about this is that it's a documentary, so everyone's real. They're living their real lives and telling their real, truthful stories.
Now, are documentaries is that what your passion, your forte is writing and, works of fiction? Is that something you want to pursue? And if so, you have a wish list of actors or types of people you'd like to work with?
Oh, that's awesome. So it's funny. I actually started off with scripted kind of narrative movies. I started off my career producing those, and I'm so grateful for that experience. But I had a lot of issue with working with celebrities and big names, and kind of how much ego was always attached to that. So I found my way to documentary, just because I love working with real people and telling real stories and ways that I believe in. So documentary is definitely where my passion lies. But I'd never say never. There are definitely some actors on my list that I'd love to work with in some capacity one day.
Interesting. Well, are you going to share those? You want to keep those mum for now?
Oh, I should share them.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's see. You know what? I just think my dream would be to have like some sort of reunion between Woody Harrelson and your hometown boy, Matthew McConaughey.
Really interesting. Yeah.
Those two guys are two of my heroes. So if I was ever able to work with them in some capacity, that would be a dream come true.
Wow. I mean, that's something I never would have thought, but it is absolutely genius. It's fantastic. And of course, Matthew McConaughey, I mean, you can't be, I guess, a Texan fan of film, I guess, right, without at least throwing his name in the hat, right? So, well, very, very cool. Well, and I guess, as far as the documentaries go, is that where are documentaries what inspired you to make film? I mean, and I guess going back to whenever you were a kid, a teen, whatever it was, where you decided you wanted to pursue film, was it because of documentaries? Was it because of, big sci-fi movies or just heartfelt films? What was it? What were you watching where you're like, wow, that's cool. The guys that are making these kinds of things happen, that's what I want to do.
Totally. Yeah, that's such a great question. So I think it all started, I used to love watching Westerns, just like old B-movie Westerns with my dad. That was kind of what we did together. And so I think that was my first introduction into storytelling, too, just in general. And then I think it was the Coen Brothers production of No Country for Old Men that blew my mind. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do this. I don't know how they did that, but I want to figure out how to do that.
What a great film, because I remember, and I'm probably older than you, but I remember watching that movie and my jaw just dropped. I was like, what did they do there? Why am I feeling all this confusion? And, it was satisfying, but still unsettling and, all those things.
Totally.
But yeah, I mean, you are one cool lady, I got to say, man. You got great taste in film, obviously.
Thank you.
Making some great work, and it's just a really pleasure to talk to you. And I cannot, wait to see how much further you go. So again, we're talking to Sarah Brennan Kolb. She's got Saturday school tomorrow. That's going to be 10 a.m. at the El Progreso Memorial Library. I guess let's give the El Progreso their plugs. Give us a quick idea as to what youngsters can expect if they go to check out that talk.
Yeah, well, I'm just so excited to meet everyone, and like I mentioned, I started off real young. I was fortunate enough to do that, just get a lot of experience really young. So I want to be able to share, anything that is of use to any of the kids coming out, and also just I believe in learning from experience. And now that I've made it a little bit farther into my career, I want to do whatever I can to help other younger people get where they want to go to.
Well, I am not a young person, and I'm certainly not on any path to become the next filmmaker, but I'm going to go check you out, so I'm excited about that.
Oh, my gosh, yes. Please come.
So, again, that's going to be Saturday, 10 a.m. at the El Progreso Memorial Library, right there off West Main here in Uvalde. And then Saturday night, we still get you in town. We're going to do the movie premiere, the screening, at the Hangar 6 Air Cafe, which is right there at the Garnerfield Airport here in Uvalde. Program starts at 7:30. It says on my notes here, live violin and piano concert of Texas and bluegrass music performed by Nathan LaFrenz and Tony Hull, and Jan Elliott, who is one of our amazing Texas cattlewomen from the area. She'll be out there as well, too. So suggested $20 donation per car, benefits the El Progreso Library, and I'm imagining you're going to be out there as well, too, right?
Yes, I will be there, and I just want to give a quick shout out to Jan Elliott. We're so excited that she is co-hosting the event with us. She is a legendary inspiration to a lot of young women in Texas.
She is an absolute hero to a lot of young men and older men as well, too. I mean, she is just the epitome of an example of just an amazing person that does so much, especially, here in this town, but beyond. So yes, when I saw Jan Elliott's name, in the credits on this whole thing, I was like, oh my gosh, I was so tickled, because whenever I read about what this movie's about, Jan is the first person that came to mind, because, she is our, cattle queen extraordinaire in this area. So Fantastic stuff. So, is there any more information you can share with us as far as maybe websites, social medias, future projects? Well, what's on the horizon for you?
Yes, thank you so much for asking that. Well, yeah, we are all over social media, so give us a follow or a tag if you come out on Saturday. We hope to see all of y'all out there. We're at Good Old Girl Movie on Instagram, and you can look us up on Facebook at Good Old Girl Movie as well. But yeah, I am working on something that'll be around for next year, spring 2022, for Dickies, which I'm really excited about. So I am working on my next documentary that I'm excited to share with everyone next year. I
saw a blurb on a quick piece that I read online, and it said that you've done a lot of beer commercials. Give me
I've done a lot. I cut my teeth on beer commercials. Yes, sir.
What? I mean, it seems like most beer commercials they're usually fun, clever, maybe a little sexy, a little sporty. I mean, what is that like, and how did that prepare you for what you're really doing?
You know, I've always told myself that I want to get paid to learn things. Like I never wanted to go to grad school or anything like that. And so, you know, commercials have never been always creatively the things. Mm-hmm. Not all the time, but, you know, most of the time they're not like creatively my passion, but I get to work with really good people and people that I care about. And that's when you get to learn and try things and kind of mess up and try something new and kind of hone your skills. And so that's what I always tried to look at it as. I would go do a beer commercial in New York City, you know, get enough money to pay the bills, make sure all of my people who I like to work with get a good paycheck, and then it would let me come back to Texas as soon as possible to keep filming Good Old Girl. So that was, I was able to make this movie because of beer commercials. So thank you, Budweiser.
I think that's a fantastic, because I mean, I think there's a lot of parallels. I mean, I'm a career radio guy myself, and there's something about having that. I guess I don't want to call it mindless, but you know, that production work, that stuff where it's just kind of editing, exactly. Cutting, film, all the basics that keep your chops up. They pay the bills, and you realize that's how you're honing your skills, right?
Exactly, and I think it's really easy. You know, my friends and I, who are other filmmakers, we talk about the golden handcuffs. You know, it's really easy to fall into that cycle of just like only taking really high paid work that are big commercials and a lot of prestige, but I think it's a good balance. I think you have to, you know, follow these pursuits like feature documentaries or feature films while you're honing those chops and paying the bills. So I've always felt really fortunate to be able to balance the two.
Well, it has been a pleasure and an honor to talk to you. I'm so excited to see your movie and hear what you have to offer Saturday morning at the library. So, again, Sarah Brennan Kolb, y'all find her. It's a Good Old Girl Movie on all the social medias and whatnot. Is there like a personal website you might want to throw out there or anything else like that?
Yeah, so it's Good Old Girl Movie, goodoldgirlmovie.com is our website. And then my production company, which made the movie, is called Talvez Productions, which talvezproductions.com.
Well, very good. Well, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us this morning, and we are just so looking forward to seeing all the great things that you have in store for us, okay?
Thank you so much for your time.
All right, let's wrap it up here. This is Uvalde Radio.